Hey everyone. Uh, I'll have to excuse how I look. I just got out of the shower. Um, I had some people asking me, not through my damn videos, um, through my Facebook and my blog, um, the effects of abuse. Not just physical and mental abuse, but child abuse and stuff like that. And I can't really say specifically how it works for everybody because everyone experiences things differently. Um, like if someone dies in your family, you say, you know how I feel, or I know how you feel, and it's not true because everyone takes it differently. Now, they understand that you are trying to sympathize with them, trying to show them that you're sorry for their loss and that you care. But it's different for everybody. Anxiety, panic attacks, seizures, any kind of disabilities can be completely different from one person to another. How you take compliments, how you take insults, everything is different for everybody. Um, I was doing a Facebook live stream, and one of my friends asked, and I was reading, and I don't know how to work this yet, so they're watching what I'm reading, and they can't see me at all, so they can just hear me talking to myself. And the main character of what I was reading has been abused nearly all of her life. Her family didn't care about her. The only person that did was her mother, and she died early. And so anytime anyone said anything nice to her or trying to show that they cared for her, it just came off as condescending and hypocritical and just, you're lying to me. Just, she wouldn't trust anybody. Now, her abuse was, it was streamlined to being held down by maids and being beaten by her stepmother, to being hung up in the middle of a freezing cold room, to being whipped, to being locked in a very tiny closet without any blankets or anything, just completely naked in a closet with holes in it in the middle of winter to freeze to death, starved, to later abused by maids and things like that. Now, her grandfather, father, and her two brothers never noticed. She had one maid that was trying to get out of that situation. She wanted to escape with her. And because this took place in between all of the abuse, instead of escaping with her, she thought she was lying. And so she pushed her away and told her that she was worthless to her. The maid understood what was going on. She didn't hold it against her. She was upset, which is understandable. I mean, anybody would be. But she didn't hold it against her. So I got to the part I got to a part where she faints. And she's sick. She doesn't know she's sick. Well, she knows that she's not been feeling the best, but because of all the abuse, she knows how to hide it. And so when she faints and just flat out falls on the ground, her grandfather and two brothers are just like, what the hell's going on? So they get a doctor to come in and check her out. Stray hair trying to attack my face. Anyway, they get a doctor to come to the house and check her out, and said she must have not been, the doctor looks at them and says she must have not been feeling good for quite a while, and uh and just collapsed. And they all looked at her, that's not possible, if someone's in pain, blah blah blah. Well, people on my Facebook were like, is that something that can actually happen? Yes, it is something that can happen because of years of being malnourished, child abuse, and any sort of pain and illness and stuff like that. There are a lot of people that can still put a damn smile on their face, put makeup on, and just walk out the door like everything's fine. I happen to be one of them. Now, granted, I've started to show more if I'm not feeling good, but that took me forever. I've been in domestic abuse victim. I've been mentally abused, verbally abused, um, made to feel like I was absolutely nothing. I was insignificant. I would never accomplish anything, and that the whole world didn't need someone like me. This came straight from my grandmother, my biological grandmother. Not only that, she told me my background story, where I came from. And of course, I talked to my mom about it and we kind of figured some things out. But everyone in my family always took my grandma's side. She's Queen Bee. She holds the family. I'm the odd person out. That is that has somewhat changed. People are now seeing more, have seen more of her now, that they kind of get where I'm coming from, though it does not stop my aunts and uncles for blaming their children's problems on me, even though I've never drank. But whatever. I Now, physical abuse manifests in several different ways. To children, more often than not, you will hear them saying, I'm sorry, I'll never do it again. To me, that is the most painful, because then when they grow up, if they're not broken of that habit, it is always, I'm sorry. And then when they're beaten and stuff like that, they can't get out of that cycle. They are frozen with that person. They are basically completely dependent on their abuser. It took me 5 years to get out of my relationship before I realized I didn't have to put up with it. I had somewhere else to go. I don't know where that person is. I don't know how that family's doing anymore. Nothing. I made a plan for myself on how I was going to get out of it. If I had to regret anything, of my decision to leave was the fact that I had to leave a dog behind because they didn't allow them. Um, I had only one way to get out of my situation, and that was the help of a friend who I had started talking to at that point in time, had just started talking to again recently. And I can't remember if I told her what was going on or if she just kind of had a hunch that something was going on, or if she overheard a fight that we were having, or what. I don't remember much of it. I was having a hard time. I would get hit with anything. Fists. He would throw cups, plates, whatever he could get his damn hands on. Usually, he didn't bother throwing anything. He just went straight to attacking me. Busted my lip, pushed me off the stairs, uh, tried to throw me out in the road when a car was coming, to pulling my hair, accusing me of cheating every 5 seconds, calling me nonstop when I went to work, screaming at me. And if I turned off my phone at work, he would show up because I didn't live. We, I was literally just right down the road from where I worked. He could just walk down, show up, and start screaming in the middle of my workplace. And I didn't think it was always going to stay that way. Because the first year of our relationship, there was only one incident, not where he hit me. Now, during this first year, another friend of mine, well, who I thought was a friend, was going through a hard time. She had just found out she had Crohn's. Um, her and her boyfriend had broken up again for the 100th time, and she was going to go and get a tattoo to commemorate the breakup. She does this every time. I don't know why, but the tattoos looked good on her. She knew how to pull them off. So me and her went down to Lexington Avenue in North Carolina, downtown North Carolina, Asheville, North Carolina, and went to a tattoo parlor on the corner. I can't remember the name of the tattoo parlor. I wanted to get one as well. She was going to pay for it. I ended up not getting it because crap popped up. Anyway, she's in there. She picks out her tattoo design, shows it to the lady. The lady goes to the back to draw it and customize it the way that my friend wanted it. And I get a phone call. He's saying something about me acting shady and cheating on him while on Lexington Avenue, blah, blah, blah. I get annoyed and I hang up the phone. I didn't want to listen to it. Dating. I had just gotten out of another relationship where I was in that relationship for 3 years and I had a kid. Now, I gave the kid up for adoption because there was no way I was going to be able to handle that on my own when her dad just up and left. Now, I'm I was still reeling in the effects of, what do they call that? The depression afterwards. I had a severe case. What is it? Postpartum depression? Something along those lines. It's depression that most moms get after they've had a child. I had a severe case to where I would lash out at anyone around me, anyone who was trying to help me, anything like that. No one seemed to notice. They just thought I was insane. Now, granted, I can be a little woohoo, but you would think a 3-year relationship of a guy who knew you before, where you've never had any fights for an entire year, would know that something was wrong. No, of course not. I wasn't the only one he had. Now, granted, there will always be a part of me that loves him. I had a kid with him. Proves how much I cared. But I will always hold a grudge to the fact that he walked away and lied about it to his family. Anyway, I was just coming out of a relationship like that. Hadn't even been a year, I believe. No, he walked out. I had her for 2 years after that. Maybe a year and a half. I remember him leaving shortly after she turned 1. He just grabbed his shit and left. I had her out in the middle of nowhere in Brevard with no way to get to the store or anything on my own with a colicky baby, still going through the depression that I was going through. There were a lot of problems. Now, my kid is cool. When she started learning to talk and stuff like that, she was pretty independent. She would pretty much help me out. Um, Always said please and thank you. The only time she ever threw a tantrum was when I wouldn't let her push the cart in the grocery store after I managed to get a hold of my neighbor and ask her for a ride. That was the only time she ever threw a fit about anything. Aside from that, she understood that Mama didn't want to go outside. Mama didn't want to play with her outside, and all that nice weather just wasn't up for it. So she would sit down and watch TV with me or read a book. Well, have me read her a book, or we would sit there and doodle on paper. We found things to do inside. Anyway, I'm going to save the rest of that story for another time. Anyway, I ended up getting 2 or 3 more phone calls from the guy I was dating. Every call the exact same. What the hell are you doing? Blah, 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 blah. You were acting shady, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, it's only been a week. I was like, if this is how this relationship's gonna go, I'm gonna have some fucking issues. So I pulled my friend aside and I was like, look, something's come up. I need to get home. And she was like, okay. So she drove me home. She went back to the tattoo parlor to get her tattoo because what was going on with me was not going to stop her. Now, when I pulled up into the driveway, his dumbass is on the porch, calling me yet again. I get out of the car, start walking towards him. I'm pissed. He sees my face and instantly gets scared. He goes running into the house, all the way back to his room, shuts the door, and curls up in a corner. You're like, well, how can you say he's curled up in a corner? Because the windows are still open. He's stupid. He is really dumb. Okay? He takes everything that everyone says and takes it to heart. Someone tells him he's stupid, he'll act like an idiot. Someone tells him that he takes basically offense to everything and will start a fight over nothing. This dysfunctional family, I was stuck in for 5 years. Now, anyway, he ran in the house, ran back to his room, shut the door, and curled up in a ball. I'm still pissed. I don't care if he's running or not. I went to the kitchen, first thing when I walked in the door, veered left, walked through the living room, went into the kitchen, went under the sink, and grabbed a frying pan. Cast iron frying pan. Turned back around, walked all the way to the end of the hall, through the living room, into the hall, walked right past his grandma in her room to go to the room. Now, we have a bathroom in between these two, and then back room. Now, this is a very old trailer, but very well built. I kicked the door open, because you can do that. It doesn't lock like he thought it did. The lock was broken, so you could still just push open the door. It doesn't actually close. I don't know if that was from the kids or from his sister or what, but it doesn't properly close. And no other room has a door. The only two doors on this trailer are for the front door, back door. That is it. Those are the only two functional doors. This one has a door. This bedroom has a door. And when I first moved in, I thought it was functional. It was not. Now, you can still push it against the thing and put duct tape against it to keep the door shut. But no one fucking cares about duct tape. They just push it open and say, hey. So, it's only on the top hinge. The bottom is completely off, so you have to hold the door and basically scrape your fingers to open this piece of crap. I just kick it from the bottom because that keeps it even, and it swings open. Basically a pretty useless door. Not even a door. It was just a fan at that point. The bathrooms don't have doors. Any other bedroom does not have doors. Again, the only two doors, front door, back door. So I have this cast iron skillet, and I point it straight at him. Walk in the room, point it straight at his face. I say, I dare you to say one more fucking thing about me again. I was like, if I wanted to be with any other dude, I would tell you, fuck off and go elsewhere. And afterwards, we had a very big laugh about it. But that was the only problem we ever had. Now, when I started working, that's when he just automatically assumed that I was cheating on him 24/7 with my boss, who happened to be 60 years old. Like, does that make sense to anybody? Because it still makes absolutely no sense to me. Now, what I figured out later was that he was cheating on me. And he would post his videos on my Google Photos. So anytime I went to go and look at pictures of my dog or anything like that, I see these disgusting fucking videos pop up and I have to delete them. And I didn't care. I seriously did not care that he was sleeping with other people, because he wasn't getting anything from me. To me, size doesn't matter. It depends on how you use it. He can't use it. He was useless to me. That I stayed firm on no matter what, but for some reason I kept thinking I could fix him. Fix him of his idiocy, to be precise. Could not. So about 5 years into the relationship, me and my friend start talking again. She's living in Washington with her two girls and her boyfriend at the time, fiance at the time, actually. And she asked me if I want to move up there with her because I needed to get out of the situation I was in. Again, I don't know how she found out. I don't know if she found out or if I told her. I can't remember. Um, so I had to think very fast and very quickly as to how I was going to pull this off. Because if I told him that I was going to leave, I knew instantly I was going to get tons and tons of phone calls and then either get locked up or something like that so that I could never leave him or something like that. Like, I didn't know what was going to happen because he was pretty freaking abusive and he has locked me up before in the trunk of a car to make sure that I can't leave him. So I started saving up money from work and was thinking long and hard about how this was going to work. And I quit work, went straight up to him, and I was like, look, this is what's going to happen. A friend of mine wants me to move to Washington. They have a place for sale near where she is, and I'm gonna go there and I'm gonna get things straightened out, and then you can move. Then I'll move you up with me. This was the only way he was going to let me go. Again, he's kind of dumb. So he fell for it. His own fault. I don't really care. And I packed up my stuff, got on a train, 3 day 3 day train ride. If you ever have to take a very long train ride, take Amtrak's. Now, from North Carolina to Washington, I had free Wi-Fi through Amtrak's. On the way to Washington to Mobile, well, to Jackson, they did not have Wi-Fi. So if you have your own mobile hotspot or something like that, you might want to make sure your phone's charged so that way you have access to your internet no matter where you are. I don't know why Amtrak stopped doing that. The conductor told me it was because people kept complaining that it was running too slow for them. Look, if you're going to complain about free Wi-Fi on a train and expect it to be running super smoothly with all those people, you're an idiot. Plain and simple. There's no ifs, ands, or buts, or maybes about it. You're dumb. Of course it's going to run slow. You have nearly anywhere between 800 to 1,000 people on a train at a time. Now, granted, it was different this time around because of COVID, so you still have to share seats. You have to have a mask on at all times. The only time that mask is off of your face is if you are actively eating or drinking. There is no reason for that mask to be off your face. Now, I had a huge rash on my face from wearing the mask that long. So I kept going to the bathrooms on the train and would wash my face and use some face wash and some alcohol to hopefully get rid of it. It worked splendidly. Now, some people use honey and coconut oil and stuff like that and put it on their face, or vitamin E. I just use regular face wash. This, it's Glam Glow. I don't know if y'all can see that. Glam Glow. Bright yellow tube. It comes out purple and you put it on your face and then it fizzes and turns white. I started using it because it reminds me of peroxide. I'm pretty sure it has peroxide in it. But you only keep it on your face for a minute and then wash it off. I used once to twice a day depending on how bad the rash got. Advice when you're going on a train. Take snacks. Do not buy the train food unless you love hospital food because it's just about the same. It's disgusting and it's overpriced. Bring foods. When you stop somewhere, ask the conductor where your next stop is. They will give you a heads up about how far out you are from that place. You can call and order DoorDash or anything like that to bring your order to the train station so you can still get your food. Make sure you have drinks, cold drinks. Again, overpriced on the train. You do not always have time to run into the station and go to the vending machines. So if you do DoorDash, make sure you get a drink along with that. Bring a blanket. Doesn't have to be a big poofy blanket or anything like that. The train is cold. They have the AC on 24/7. It does not go off. They have plugs so you can charge things, but you only have 2 plugs. Just the 2 right in front of your seat. And if you have someone sitting beside you, chances are they're going to want to use one of those plugs. Now, I got lucky because the 3 people who sat next to me didn't seem to care. The first person I sat next to was a guy who was recently released from prison. I'm going to tell you right now, that released prisoner was one of the coolest people I ever sat next to on a train. Frickin' cool. Granted, he was a gigantic flirt, but hey, 10 years in prison, you're going to be a gigantic flirt. That was fine with me. He didn't act on it. He didn't go and grope me or anything like that. He was pretty cool. And, one of the coolest people I sat next to on the train. Absolutely adored him. He was really cool. So bring a blanket because they leave the AC on 24/7. It is colder than hell on those trains. Sometimes it's more comfortable than being outside, but you can always fold your blanket up and put it on top of your stuff. I suggest bringing a big duffel bag for your clothes and then a book bag or 2 for laptops, phones, and other daily necessities that you're going to need on the train. Now, my duffel bag was about this size. This is a king-sized pillow, really long. I did half clothes, and the other half was snacks. Mainly Slim Jims, chips, my Doritos, and Pepsi, and Cheez-Its, because I have an obsession with Cheez-Its. I didn't bring any real sugary foods because I had the Pepsi, so um, when my sugar gets low, I have sugar. Uh, Hyperglycemic or hypoglycemic, one or the other, where you constantly need sugar. Sometimes I do have too much sugar and I tend to get nauseous from it. I haven't had that problem lately because of how much I've been running around. But anyway, if you sit next to someone on a train while they still have the mask mandate up, even if you are vaccinated, just to be clear, even if you are vaccinated, you still have to wear a mask. Because there could be someone on the train who just doesn't want to get vaccinated because they don't trust them. Believe me, after I got my two, I didn't want to trust it because my arm was magnetic for a short while. A lot of people were like, "Oh, that's just a myth that happened on TikTok." No, my arm was magnetic for a while. Uh, Trying to think. They do stop for smoke breaks on trains. You can, they will sometimes, depending on if the train is running extremely late, they will make you go 6 hours without a smoke. You cannot smoke on the trains anymore. They took the smoker's cabin out, which really sucks, especially when you gotta smoke because you're having an anxiety attack. Um, when I needed to smoke, I would get up and walk up and down the aisles or downstairs and then back upstairs whenever I felt like I needed to smoke because I was having an anxiety attack. And I would hold my vape with me. Would never actually, you know, fire it off or anything like that, but I had it with me. And sometimes they'll notice people getting antsy and they'll find the nearest station to stop at, and so you can stop and get off to smoke. Not every stop they'll let you get off and smoke. Now, at night, I believe they do this at like 11, 10 or 11. They will turn off the lights on the train, and then you just have the aisle strips and the top strips at the very top of the train to where you can see your luggage. At night, they do not announce your stops. Well, which stops they'll be making. So when the train stops, I would stay awake at night and I would sleep during the day because I don't trust trains at night, especially when everyone's got their eyes closed and people are still wandering around. So I would stay awake at night and look for other people around me who are getting up to move. Sometimes you don't always get that, but anytime the train stops, you can go down the stairs and ask your conductor if it's okay to go off for a quick smoke. Around 5 or so, they start announcing again. Stops, smoke breaks. If you're going to have time for smoke breaks, they usually say smoke them if you've got them. This is the only time for like 2 stops or so. After the prisoner, I had a seat to myself for 2 days. And then had a very rude person sit next to me for one stop before he was kicked off the train. Now, if you do not put your bags away and leave them in the middle of the aisle, even after I made room for this guy, he was still bitching and complaining and even started yelling at uh, the attendant who was going back and forth checking on everyone and making sure they found their seats. And he got kicked off at the very next stop. That was after I even made room for him to sit down and put his bag away. He just wanted to bitch and complain the entire time. So yes, he did get kicked off. Yes, they will bring in security from the station to escort your ass off the train. If you have questions and stuff like that, it is best to ask the attendant that is attending your cart the best options. Now, they're not always very considerate because they have a lot on their plate, which is why I'm informing you. Excuse me. Now, you can take any food that you got or any food that you got from DoorDash, from the train station or anything like that, and go to the dining cart and eat there. And as long as you are actively eating, you can keep your mask off. If you are actively drinking, you can have your mask off. Take those time. Take the time to have your mask off to eat because it'll help heal your face. The trains are not always very smooth. Sometimes they'll stop on a track and you'll be in the middle of nowhere and you can't get off and smoke because there's no station or platform for you to get off at. This usually happens because there happens to be another train in the way and they can't go through the track. Now, this happened 3 different times while I was on the train. One time we were sitting there for nearly 2 hours waiting for a train. Freight trains. Okay. Irritating. I don't know why they don't have their own thing, but I'm not going to argue with how they set up the trains. It's not my job. And, so yeah. You're going to want to have something to do. So, if you can, download things to your computer, your phone, through YouTube or whatever. That way you have something to do. Now, people like me who have OCD, where we like things to be straight, and I mean straight. I've gotten a lot better with it. There are some things I can handle. That tapestry on my wall, just behind you guys, I cannot stand staring at it. I can look straight at the center of it and that's it. I can't look at any other part of it because it's crooked, and I'm not going through the trouble of fixing it because that's just a lot of work. I was originally going to put it over my window, but my walls are naked, as you can see, and I don't like that. I don't like them being naked. They have to put some clothes on. So I'm getting more stuff to put onto the walls so that I don't have to look at this cream brown color. I can't even tell what color it is. through this camera, it looks yellowish. It's more like kind of like that. Really bit darker than that. But it's like a pinkish, orangish, brownish looking color. Like, it's a pretty color, don't get me wrong. It's not terrible or anything like that, but my favorite colors are red and black. This room is a bit too bright and cheery, so I prefer having black and red everywhere, but you can't always get what you want, so you deal with what you got. I did, however, get a black rug from Walmart to cover part of my floor because it has tile floors. They're really cold. I do not like walking on tile floors with bare feet. So I have a rug that I can sit down on the floor. It's a little shag rug, it's black. It's dirty right now. I need to get a vacuum for it. Anyway, there are different baggage carts on a train. So even if you go downstairs and you see where they have some of the luggage, your luggage will not always be on the same cart as you. Now, I understand that some people get really irritated with that and they want their stuff to be seen at all times because they're scared someone's going to steal it. I've never had this problem. I have not heard anyone else having this problem either. Now, I did lose a bag once. It had all my blankets and my pillows in it, and it was a very big suitcase. I don't know if I can turn you guys so that you can look at it. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. That big suitcase right there. Not the green one, but that silverish, beigeish one right under the window. It had all my blankets and stuff in it. That one did get misplaced. Um, if you end up losing a bag, make sure they have the address that you are going to. You can go to Amtrak and tell them, hey, one of my bags is missing. They will go look in the back for it to make sure they didn't miss anything. Sometimes your bag will take another ride. Okay, it wants to travel more. I believe a ghost ran off with all my blankets and said she wanted another trip. I got it back maybe 2, 3 days after I arrived here in Florida. Now, granted, it was a little damaged. I did not care as long as it still had my stuff in it, which it did. My blankets, my pillows, stuff I did not want to lose. I have an obsession with blankets and pillows. I want them surrounding me forever. So I did not like having to lose that. And sometimes sometimes they don't always find it. Sometimes you will lose your bags and they can't always get it back to you. I get, I usually get 2 bags that look the exact same. They don't always get these bags back to you. Sometimes people will have the exact same thing, the same package thing that looks like yours, suitcase. That disappeared on me, I just said it. Um, and even with the tags and everything on it, it still gets mixed up sometimes. Um, what I like to do is put something on it, on my bags, something that can be identified with me. Now, I'll match my bag to whatever I happen to be wearing when I get on the train. I do not like changing my clothes on the train. From North Carolina or Florida to Washington State to Seattle, Washington's King Station is a 3-day journey. Sometimes 4. It just depends on if the train gets delayed really bad or not. Excuse me. Anyway, it's only a 3-day trip, so I like to match it with me, and occasionally I'll ask the conductors to check and see if my bags are still where they are. They don't always do this, but I had a really cool one who would show me where all the bags were on the train so I could go and check. Um, I didn't do that at all this time around, even though I kind of wanted to, because I only had 3 suitcases, a duffel bag, and 2 book bags, and that was everything I was able to bring with me. And I had so much more stuff. But I even lost a toy that my little sister had bought me from Books A Million. I'm still torn up about that, but it is just a stuffed ducky, and absolutely loved her for getting that for me. I had already spent my money on something else. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I didn't have the money for the duck anymore, and she bought it for me, and I named him Puddles. Really cute little TY stuffy. Can't really technically call him a beanie baby because he only had beans in his feet, so they would flop. But the rest of him was basically stuffed. I have had that thing since I was 14 or so, maybe younger than that, maybe a little older. We were still in North Carolina at the time. Um, yeah, I had that for a very, very long time. I thought I had it in my bag. I could have sworn I had it in my bag. But when I got here, I couldn't find it anywhere. I still have my actual Beanie Babies in one bag that I've never touched. I thought my ducky was with them. It was not. So, anyway, you will lose things. Sometimes they can help you track it down, sometimes they can't. Anyway, so I made it up here, made it up to Washington, and my friend picked me up. We took a ferry across the water, and then was picked up by her boyfriend at the time, to go to the house, and they were showing me around and stuff like that. I was living with them 2.5, maybe 3 years. I'm not entirely sure. Anyway, I was with them for nearly 3 years. Got to know both of the girls. Serenity is the oldest. She is a month younger than my child. Now, people thought we had planned it out this way because I had my daughter 2010 in December. She had her daughter January of 2011. Literally only a month apart. Both born on the 4th. At least I believe Serenity is the 4th. She may be a couple days before or after that. So a month apart, and a lot of people had thought we had planned the whole thing. We didn't. It just happened. So I stayed with her for about 3 years, and then they moved, and I needed somewhere else to go. So I stayed with one of the neighbors for a short while. Well, she started getting a stick up her butt, and I had to leave. I was with her for about 7 months before she just went off the rails. Piece of advice: if you move to Washington State, have a car. Just have a damn car. Because otherwise you will never get a job. Um, anyway, I was with her for 7 months before she flipped her lid. I grabbed everything I could from there and moved into a tent in someone's backyard. I was only there for a month before I got kicked out again. Now, one person in that park has seen me do everything for these two people. I would buy them food. I would take care of the house. I would take care of their pets. I would cook. I would clean. I'm really horrible at picking out people to live with, so I'm done with it. And so after a month, the neighbor next to that neighbor decided she didn't want me living in a tent in her backyard anymore, and told me she wanted me out. So I went across the street and asked someone else if I could stay with them for a while until my money came in for the train ticket. By the way, it still hasn't shown up. So my mom sent me money, and I gave it to Dexter. Well, yeah. And he went and bought the ticket for me and sent me on my way. I miss him. He was really cool. One of the coolest people I've ever met. He swears up and down that his girlfriend liked me, But I swear to everyone else, she did not. Uh, I don't know what it is about people assuming that I want to steal their boyfriends. I want nothing to do with it. Don't want it, don't care. I can take care of myself. What do I need them for? I don't need someone nagging me. I don't need someone there telling me that I can do this and that I can't do that while they go off and do the exact same thing. I don't like double standards. If I get in a relationship with someone, it's going to be flat out. I may occasionally do nice things for you. I may get pissed off and flip my lid. If I say I'm fine, just go away. The only time I want to see you when I say I'm fine is if you've got food in your hands. That is it. If I am actually perfectly fine or okay, it's you'll know because I'll be with you, you know? I'll be hanging out with you, spending time with you, watching movies with you, playing a game with you or something. If I just want alone time, more than half the time I will not move from my room. I I'm not a very social person. I am actually having anxiety attacks now. Just and I can't smoke in the house either. Just having to do this. And even though there's no one actually watching these videos or anything like that, it's still anyway. Abuse is different for everybody. Mine was anytime I left the house, I swore I was going to come back to a gigantic fight. If anyone's yelling, or there's a loud noise, or a surprise party, I will literally start shaking, crying, and walk away. If someone makes any sudden moves around me, even if it's not to actually hit me or anything like that, I get scared. I tend to keep my hands like this or somewhere close to my person whenever there are unfamiliar people around me or I'm having to do something that I'm not comfortable with, which is technically everything. I am uncomfortable with everything. Um, some people, after going through abuse, both verbally and physically, they tend to actually trust abusers and people who talk crap about them because that's their true feelings. People who act sweet to you try to help you or try to give you a compliment or anything like that can tend to actually hurt someone who has been abused. I still have problems taking compliments. It's not all the time, but I do still have that problem. Mainly when people tell me that I'm amazing at something. Because I can't mentally get out of that track that's telling me I'm worth absolutely nothing, that I'm a worthless human being. And I also tell myself that. It is different for everybody. Some people in abusive relationships are usually looking for a way out. The problem is that they don't trust people who are trying to help them. I can't really say there is a way to help them because I don't know. Some people will take the help, some people won't. It's much like going to AA meetings for drinking or anything of the sort. Nothing's going to help you unless you want that help. A lot of things that I have went through, I helped myself out through it. I had a therapist for a short while, several of them for a short while, who some of them were really freaking cool and were able to help get my train of they helped me organize how my head was working. They didn't go, oh well, you need to do this, you need to do that. No. They were trying to figure out how my head worked so that they could help me in my way. Not all therapists will do that. But I was thankful to this one for doing so. My head is pretty hectic all the time. It's kind of like being on a football field and having all those people just on the field with nothing to do. So they're just kind of running all over the place, don't know what they're doing. So it stays pretty hectic. It is different for everybody. Some people have a guy organizing and filing things away in cabinets. Some people have butterflies that carry all the information on their wings. Some people have whatever helps them in their head to organize things. Some people do journals to write down information or dreams or what has happened to them that day or what they're thinking or feeling, or what they're trying to process. It is different for everybody. I tend to do two things. I tend to blog about it online, which that is actually coming down soon, or I write about it in a journal. I have not been doing the journal for quite a while, not since the last time I wrote in it, which was when I got here. Again, everything is different for everyone. Physical pain is different for everyone. Now, getting a shot will actually hurt me unless the person is telling me what to expect. Like, oh, okay, we're going to pinch your skin and you're going to feel a light pinch. I'll be okay. And I won't feel anything. As long as they are telling me what's happening while it's happening or just before it's happening, I'm all good. Got a thunderstorm. Uh, Blue Angels were supposed to fly today, but I don't think that's going to happen because of the storm. I'm going to have to cut this video short because I have to pee and I need to smoke. Anyway, abuse is different for everyone. Don't say you understand somebody because you don't. A slap for you may be something completely different to another person. It could feel like you are literally tearing their face off. Everyone has a different pain tolerance. Everyone has a different threshold for pain. When it comes to migraines and headaches and period cramps, I don't show it at all. I don't have the mood swings. I have the weird cravings, but I don't have the mood swings. My period only lasts 2 to 3 days. I don't understand how people do get the mood swings and that they go all rar when they're on their period. I don't understand it because I don't have that problem. I also find it pretty terrifying that some people have their periods for an entire week or more. I've only ever had mine 2 to 3 days. When I was a kid, when I first started it, it used to be every other month for 2 to 3 days. Then for a short while before I got pregnant, I would have it a week, every other month. And then after the kid, it was 2 to 3 days every month. That's it. People say that your hormones go all and stuff like that. I've never had that problem. Now, granted, I tend to get more irritated more quickly when I am on my period. So if you start irritating me, I'm going to let you know. Hey, you're kind of getting on my nerves, or hey, I need to go and do something. Bye. And I'll go and do my own thing. Um, as long as there is quick food around that I don't actually have to cook. Like, I don't have to make shepherd's pie or tacos or anything like that. There's just something quick that I can throw in the microwave or the oven. I'm good. As long as I've got my Pepsi, can't live without it. My vape, quick food, a fan, and something to watch, I am good. I do not much less care about anything else. I could care less about anyone else's problems. But that's just everyday life. Someone else's problems are not my problems. If I can help them out and they want the help, fine. So be it. But I've been around a lot of people who do nothing but say, me, I. It's just, okay, you. You are not the center of the earth, okay? The world does not revolve around you. Shut up. No one cares about your damn problems. Trying to tell you about me, you're too busy talking about your goddamn self. It's. I still get pretty irritated about a lot of things. And again, working on that has been a process. Yeah, I will be talking about myself a lot. It's my channel. I will do what I want. Um, and if someone has any questions and wants to know my train of thought on certain things, sure. Um, as long as you don't bring politics or religion into it, I don't care. My The way my brain works is completely different from normal people's because I believe I'm an alien. Mainly because no place on Earth has ever actually felt like home. I'll call places my home to make people around me think that I feel comfortable, but everything on Earth feels foreign to me. There are just a lot of things that don't make sense to me. Um, but yeah. Anyway, gotta cut it short because I need to use the bathroom. And I'm still drinking. Please do. Uh, if anyone ever watches these, which I highly doubt they will, leave comments. Like it. I don't care. Just if you see it, you see it. Bye. I gotta go.